So good afternoon, everyone. I'll be presenting on the case study of Kaziranga National Park. Okay, so first off, we start asking by why exactly Kaziranga? Like, what sense does it make with wildlife conservation and poaching? So key facts. First of all, it's home to world's two-thirds one-horned rhinoceros population. And like these rhinoceroses, their horns are actually valued at a rate higher than gold per kg wise. So like it faced severe poaching crises driven by the poverty in that region. Then organized crime took place. Then so yeah, I will focus on the areas of poaching. Then what kind of community-centered conservation approaches took place, and what lessons of environmental justice we get from this case study. So first of its location and biodiversity. So it's situated in the northeastern region of India. Specifically, it's situated in Assam, like near the Golaghat, Sonitpur, Naga regions, like the northeastern part of Assam as well, I can say. So it has got the Brahmaputra river to its north, and towards its south we have the Karbi Anglong hills. Yeah, so it's basically situated in the floodplains of Brahmaputra. So it has got a dynamic landscape. So every year monsoon happens, the plains get flooded, and that leads to different kinds of biodiversity, different various ecosystems. So like 2,600 different types of flora and fauna is combined, and also 4 different types of habitat, which is alluvial grassland, tropical forest, wetlands, and savanna woodlands. Okay, now it's global recognition. Like first, it got a preserved forest status in 1905. Like this happened when then like the wife of Viceroy back then, her name was I think Mary Curzon. She went to the forest for the first time there, and she noticed that the rhino population, it was on a steady decline. So like she then pushed for its conservation, and that's how it got the reserve forest status in 1905. Then later on, it got the UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1985 and Tiger Reserve status in 2006. So yeah, we see the location of Kaziranga in the like specifically the northeastern map of India. Okay, the main thing, the poaching crisis which happened. So historically, 692 rhinos were poached from 1980 to 1993, and this peaked at around 27 rhinos in 2013 to 14. Both years, 27 rhinos were killed, and this total damage was over of 190 rhinos from the year 2000 to 2021. So like what kind of environmental injustices led to this outcome? First of organized exploitation means like the international syndicates which had the money, power, the connections to build the this chain of like the like they later on sell it in the black market, right? So they exploited such local poverty and employed these people into these chains. And then the socio-economic drivers means that the border regions, they barely had any opportunities like job opportunities, education, etc. So they had no other option anyways. Then economic inequality, like I already said, the value of horn, it exceeds the value of gold per kg wise. So yeah, so this is also a huge incentive. It's like an open letter for them to engage in poaching activities. So yeah, this is the cycle which leads to such kind of vicious cycle, I can say. Like first off, wildlife exploitation happens, which leads to ecosystem and livelihood loss. This means that more and more people are indulged into criminal activities. This leads to more poverty, and more poverty means that they are more vulnerable to exploitation. And this is like a vicious cycle which happens, and like how people get indulged into such activities. So what kind of responses were taken in place? First off, 642 staffs were employed across 54 anti-poaching camps. Then technologies were enacted like drones were used, thermal cameras, then real-time surveillance was taken in place. But like sooner or later, the government, they slowly realized that just enforcing these, like mobilizing troops wasn't sufficient. So like main thing was they have employed community-centered solutions like eco-development committees, like the local people, they were actually considered as conservation partners instead of just outsiders. So like their opinion was taken into play while drafting the laws and everything. Then alternate livelihoods were also provided to these people so that they can like indulge in other activities other than poaching and stuff. Then the benefit sharing, the tourism revenue which was generated, it was again reinvested locally into this region. So it was like a positive virtuous cycle, I can say. And like the last one is a systematic approach which was taken. So like instead of just focusing on the local participants there, like only focusing like to punish the local poachers there, the like huge international syndicates, the chain, the link was trying to be broken by the government back then. So like, yeah, conservation succeeds when communities benefits from both protection and not just bear its cost. So what were the measurable wins? First off, rhino recovery. There were a few dozen rhinos in early 1900s, like barely less than 100, I can say. And now in 2018, the last census we had, there were 2,613 rhinos present, and that's two-thirds of global one-horned rhinoceros population. Then it's the first time since 1977 that zero rhinos were poached in the year 2022. And like this happened after the sharp decline after the mid 2010 spike. And along with rhinos as well, tigers were also the population of tigers also increased substantially, and it has the global highest density now. And economically as well, more visitors, more tourists come here to now this generates more revenue, and this obviously is a win-win situation for everyone. So yeah, we see the graph of the number of rhinos which were poached. So initially in the year around 1984, I can say 52 rhinos were poached. From there, it was around 25 in the year 1991, I think. Then it again spiked up. Then slowly and substantially it decreased till around 9 rhinos till the year 2006. But as already in the previous slide, it was mentioned that there was a mid 2010 spike. We can see here that in the year 2013, 27 rhinos were poached. And after that, the things got serious. The government actually started taking things into consideration. And finally, in the year 2022, we had 0 rhinos poached. So what justices, environmental justice principles were applied? First of equity, that we made sure that the conservation steps we took place, it did not harm the local community living there. So fair distribution of both conservation benefits and burdens. Then participation, which means that the community was involved in taking the decisions all together. With they were living there since centuries, so they knew the forest better than anyone else outside. So they were involved in taking the decisions. And finally, recognition is that the local rights, it was acknowledged. And yeah, so finally, Kaziranga's legacy, it's a proof that environmental justice and wildlife conservation can thrive together. Thank you.
Okay. So I'm going to cover